Hi, I'm Lindsay, and I'm talking with MedTech industry leaders on how they change lives for a better world.
The inventions and technologies are fascinating, and so are the people who work with them.
There was a period of time where I realized fundamentally my job was to go hang out with really smart people that are saving lives and then do work that would help them save more lives.
I got into the business to save lives, and it is incredibly motivating to work with people who are in that same business, saving or improving lives.
What better industry than where I get to wake up every day and just save people's lives?
These are extraordinary people doing extraordinary work, and this is The Leading Difference.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Leading Difference podcast. I'm your host, Lindsay, and today I am delighted to welcome my guest, Lisa Jacobs. Lisa is the president of U.S. eCential Robotics, as well as the CEO of Stripes, which is a networking organization for women in MedTech. With expertise in medical device sales, she's a high-performing executive sales leader known for formulating and executing scalable strategies to accelerate business expansion, revenue generation, and team development in startup, turnaround, and rapid growth environments across domestic and global markets. All right, Lisa, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. I'd love if you would start off by sharing a little bit about yourself, your background, and what led you to MedTech.
Of course. Yeah. So I've been a MedTech executive and commercialization leader for more than 2 decades. My experience has been in bringing surgical technology from concept to widespread clinical adoption. Also, my career is really focused on startups with high growth in complex environments, everything from early stage robotics to scaling global platforms across the US market. Today, I serve as president of North America for eCential Robotics, where I oversee commercialization, surgeon adoptions, partnerships with implant partners, market strategy, and open platform surgical navigation ecosystem. In parallel, I'm the founder of Stripes, Women in MedTech, which is a global nonprofit created to support, connect, and elevate women across the industry. I spent my career sitting at the intersection of innovation, people, and execution, and I care deeply about building businesses that are both high performing and human centered.
Very nice. Okay, so going back to, let's say, growing up, did you always think that you might have an interest in or a future career in healthcare, health techs, things like that? Or did this sort of evolve over time?
It evolved over time. Actually, my degree, I'm a registered dietitian by trade, and I was a ballerina. So I always thought I was going to open a dance studio. So it was a complete pivot from what I went to college for and what I thought I was going to do growing up.
Okay, yeah. All right. Well, we have to dive into the ballerina aspect, obviously, since I am too. So did you dance all the way through high school, college, beyond?
Yes, I danced through high school and college. I was also a gymnast. And then I became an NFL cheerleader when I was 18 years old
Oh.
for the Patriots. So that's kind of where it took me. So then, after college, I decided I was going to be a starving ballerina, but it's always been my passion and love. So I'm still very into fitness and wellness and definitely do Pilates and yoga and try to keep that part of my life alive. But I always miss dancing and wonder what would have happened if I went down that path. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Well, the good thing is you can always still do some kind of dancing or
Yeah.
support it or however you want. So it's not gone.
Yep. It's around my house. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
Exactly. Okay. And so nutrition. Okay. So did that evolve because you were a dancer and interested in that kind of wellness aspect or?
It was, I'm Portuguese. So there is obesity in my family.
Mm,
And I had to work really hard to stay thin
mm,
for dance, gymnastics, and, cheerleading.
mhm.
So, at cheerleading, I used to get weighed in. So
Oh,
I was
wow.
always exercising and trying to find what was right to eat. And I didn't want to hop on the diet fad. So
Yeah.
I studied nutrition because of that. And throughout my dance career, I found a lot of girls who were either anorexic or bulimic or a combination of both.
Yeah.
And it really, and one of my friends did die from anorexia. So
Mm.
I dove in deep into the study of that and how to help people.
Yeah. And you're still helping people all the time. You're in MedTech and you're doing amazing work. So, do you mind sharing a little bit about, yeah, your current role and maybe sort of the leadership journey that took you there?
Sure. My current role is with an open platform, which was based out of France. And I just opened an office in Franklin, Tennessee. It's just been a year to this month. So our technology is differentiating in robotics and navigation. And I remember earlier in my career when I stood in an operating room watching a surgeon place a complex implant using a navigation system I helped bring to market. I realized my work was directly impacting patient outcomes, but also easing the mental load of the surgeon with navigation. And still today, you hear that surgeons want navigation to decrease their mental load and robotics to decrease their physical load. So that moment crystallized something for me. I didn't want to just sell products. I wanted to build platforms that changed possibility in med tech to give a rare opportunity to blend science, engineering, technology, and give experience to surgeons that would help them directly to help patients. So it's hard to imagine doing anything else now that has such an impact.
Yeah, I understand how it's really cool to be a part of mission driven organizations, which is something that I actually wanted to talk with you about because I know that you are very mission centric and you care a lot about make difference and being helpful. And so I was just wondering, where did that come from? Was this a core belief of yours sort of throughout your whole life, or how did that evolve too?
I think it was embedded with me with my parents. Both of my parents were incredibly helpful to neighbors, community, family. I come from a big family, and my father would always go out and help anyone who needed it. And my mother was the same. All of my friends wanted to come to my house to hang out with my mother because she would take care of everyone, drive them to any games or anything they had. So it was just, I think, a core belief with the way I was raised.
Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And then it's something that I think is so helpful because it continues to drive and motivate as you go along throughout your career. And you've had such a wide variety of experiences. So tell us a little bit more about your approach to selling. Because I was reading a little bit on your LinkedIn profile and it mentioned that you prefer to have kind of a consulting approach, I think, to selling. And I was curious if you could expound on that a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of salespeople are taught to sell on features and benefits, right? You go in, you have a widget, you're talking about your widget, you're trying to get them to use whatever you're trying to sell. But they don't listen to the surgeon's need and ask doctor, surgeon, whoever you're selling to, your client's needs about what are their problems they currently have? How do you solve for their problems? What are you bringing to the table to help them either in the operating room or in their clinic? And I think it has to be more natural and more conversational instead of selling on features and benefits. You need to know who you're talking to and do your homework before you enter the room or even try to sell to that person. But what problem are you trying to solve for? And I think too many times people go to sales training and you learn your surgical technique, you learn your features and benefits, and you learn your pitch, but it's not conversational and it's not natural. And I think whoever you're selling to gets very turned off by that type of selling.
Yeah, I have found that it's actually being I don't like being sold to. I suppose most people don't in some way. And especially that tactic of sort of, yeah, just kind of coming in and maybe assume it, well, the way that it comes across is assuming that they know exactly what I'm dealing with or that all the problems are the same regardless. And that might be true, but I think you're right. Having that very human moment of curiosity and connection can make all the difference in terms of how I feel about, well, the salesperson and the product or the service. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, okay, when you became a leader, this is of course a journey and a pathway, but what are some of the things that you knew, yes, I want to be like this, and no, I don't want to be like this? Like, what could your own leadership style develop?
Yeah, I think leadership is about the ability to create clarity for an organization, alignment as a team, and momentum, especially in uncertainty. And it's not about having all the answers. I know I don't want to be a know it all, right? And only my way and the way I sell and I approach is the only way. I think it's about building trust, setting direction, and empowering people to do their best work. I think that great leaders definitely create environments where people feel safe to think, challenge, and grow while also being held accountable to share a mission, right? So I don't like working for leaders that are know-it-all, and if you don't follow exactly their rules, then, you're not gonna win. And then it's always about your who are you in your next sale, and don't listen to the people who are forward-facing, their feedback, and able to pivot.
Yeah. It's that's great. I definitely know what you mean, know it all, and it's my way or the highway, and not usually not very pleasant to work with. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about stripes. What made you realize there was a gap, a need for this organization, and how did all of that come about?
So I was teaching some courses at medical sales college and speaking there. And I was getting an outpouring of women on LinkedIn asking for advice and asking for help, not only from med device school, but from other women who are trying to become the area director or VP of sales and were hitting some roadblocks. So I really felt compelled to help, but I didn't have the bandwidth to help. So at the time, I brought a bunch of girls I worked together in a room and said, guys, I have this idea. And I think half of them thought I was crazy. And, Lisa, you don't have time to do this. But it was really important to me to give back to a career that gave so much to me. And I know there's a unique set of problems and situations that women have in medtech that it's not always comfortable to speak to either a coworker or a male counterpart about. So I wanted to create a safe place where we could learn, grow, and network together. And I got very tired of hearing women say, I didn't get that job because it's a good old boys network, a good old boys club. So change it. Let's do something about it and let's do it. Let's do it better. So that was the reason for Stripes.
Nice. Okay, that's excellent and like you said, very needed. So I'm so thankful that you've put love into the organization. All right. So you host monthly networking events, virtual and sometimes in person, right?
Live networking events across the country. Yep.
Awesome. Okay. So I definitely want to hear a little bit about those and maybe some of the impact that you have already seen happen because the organization is how old now?
About 2 years only.
Oh, nice.
Well, we're 3,000 members.
Okay.
So grew really fast, which was great. But so we offer mentorship programs.
Okay.
So you can be a mentor or mentee. We have what we call Wind Down Wednesdays, which is really a networking event where we talk about anything that anyone is in the group, whether they're interviewing or looking for a job or negotiating a contract or just need a safe place to talk through a issue that they're having at work. Then we also have women in career transition. This kind of happened organically. We had office hours, and there was a group of women who were always joining who were looking for jobs and wanted help by recruiters, by resume writers. So we evolved that group. And we have live networking events around the country. And then we have a monthly webinar for education. So that's what we currently offer. And we just opened a Slack channel where people can network together. And we're having a bunch of different books and different clubs join as well. So we're growing rapidly, and the goal for 27 is to have one big national meeting together.
Ooh, oh, I'm so excited about that. That's great. Excellent. Well, yeah, that is no small feat to grow it so quickly, and clearly there's a need for it and a hunger for it. So that's excellent. And I'm wondering, with your webinars, what kinds of topics have you covered that you've realized, honest, we really needed to tackle this?
Yeah, one was about communication style. So speaking with confidence is one actually that we're having this Thursday. We're bringing it back. One was about contract negotiation, that women, really need to understand how to negotiate shares, how to negotiate time off. And we don't get a lot of understanding of, once you get to a certain level, how to negotiate those type of scenarios, right? With different shares and equity and what it means. Something I wish I knew younger. So, and then we also are having some webinars. Omar talked about building your brand and who you are. So those are some of the big ones. But I realized I didn't answer your previous question of what has it brought to some women. And we've seen women, a lot of women get hired, change careers drastically, and open their own consulting. Seeing people who were in sales go into product management and understand, what classes and what education they needed to have. And people who are always scared to post on social media about building their brand and who they are. So it's been really beautiful to see the evolution of some of our and the testimonials from some of our women. We also have people who are breaking into med device and finding jobs through others. So it's been a beautiful evolution.
Oh, that's exciting. Yeah. Oh, I love those stories. And it sounds to me like, or one of the things that I've kind of observed is even to your point of showing up on LinkedIn. I think that there's some of the women that I know are part of the network I follow. They are continuously, I feel like, becoming more and more confident in how they speak, and it's really fun to see even that evolution too. And those are things that you talk about too in the wind down Wednesdays, right? Where you can kind of tackle some of those if you're feeling a little anxious about it, maybe get some advice from someone who's confident in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was saying I really enjoyed reading some of recommendations that are on your LinkedIn profile, and there were a couple of things that kind of stood out to me. So one person mentioned that he particularly appreciated your resiliency, character, and performance and leadership. And I'd love to hear a little bit about that. Another one that stood out was that you were the definition of integrity. And those are beautiful endorsements. And so I'm wondering, where did your, character development, integrity focus, resiliency, where did that all come from and develop?
Yeah, I think that I changed becoming a mother. And I was a single mom for many years when I started my career in med device. And I wanted to be a huge role model to my sons. So I think that my integrity and trying to always be honest and be the best person I can, especially in such a competitive environment in spine and orthopedics, really, I wanted to stand out in a different way. And it truly is the root core of who I am. So I do believe in building things that matter, doing things the right way, even if it takes longer, and building that trust in relationships. And I think that's why I've had such a wonderful career and have so many friendships, with that. And when and the resilient, I don't think I've even read these recommendations. So thank you for bringing them to me. And being resilient, when I was a VP of sales, I went through Hurricane Ian, lost everything I had. And we were going through a really hard financial time at the time. And I think that you just have to get up and keep on moving and keep on going. And I think a true character is showed in tough times, and a true leader keeps on leading in those tough times. So again, being a mom, I think, my boys are my everything. They're my reason. So I always wanted to be a good person for them.
I love that. Yeah. And I think you're absolutely right. Character is developed and tested during some of the toughest seasons.
Yeah.
But but when you can come out of them on the other side, and also, I don't know if you agree with this or not, but one thing that I've personally found when you're looking back, and it can be tempting to kind of have the "why me," sort of feeling. And if
All the time.
yeah, can if you can look at a situation or a season and go, yes, but I also learned X, Y, and Z, or I built my resilience up, or I, you know, learned that I actually can handle. And I think one thing for me too is that, without getting too far off the subject here, is that it builds empathy for others.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you're more able to say, I understand what this is like, and think that that makes a huge difference as a leader specifically. Yeah.
Mhm. And then, yeah, staying humble,
Yeah. Yeah.
because you can have a really successful career and things out of your control can happen. And you could, next year it may not be the same. So I think you always have to be humble
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Yes. Humble, resilient, character led. Makes for a good leader. Excellent. Okay. Pivoting the conversation a little bit just for fun. Imagine that you were to be offered $1 million to teach a master class on anything you want. Could be within your industry, but doesn't have to be. What would you choose to teach?
I think I would teach a master class on building confidence through competence. I think so many people, especially women, are taught to seek confidence first. And in reality, confidence comes by mastering hard things, making decisions, and surviving failure. I would teach how to build technical, financial, and strategic competence so that confidence becomes natural byproduct and you don't have to fake it. I don't like the term you fake it until you make it. I think it's quite the opposite. You have to go through the trenches to gain that confidence. So there's no easy path. You have to go through it.
Yeah. And well, first of all, that would be a great masterclass. And secondly, I think when you go through it too, again, you are also, how do we put this, building up the sort of credibility within not just your own mind, which I think does help build confidence, but with others as well. So love that. Okay. And then how do you wish to be remembered after you leave this world?
I want to be remembered for being compassion and opening doors for other people who didn't see in themselves characters that and qualities that they had, whether it's through my work in med device by creating change and creating better platforms, but helping people step into their potential because I was willing to stand in their corner is what I want to be remembered for.
That is beautiful. That's a wonderful legacy. Love that. Yes. And you're already doing it all the time through Stripes and through your other mentorship, and love that so much. Oh, excellent. All right. And then the final question. What is one thing that makes you smile every time you see or think about it?
My sons, Ken and Ryan, especially now that they're in college. One just graduated. I don't get to see them as often. So they were here for the holidays, and just hearing their voice or seeing them just makes me smile.
I love that. I wondered if that was going to be your answer when you were talking
course,
about them
yeah.
earlier. Excellent. Excellent. Well, this has been a fantastic conversation, Lisa. Thank you so much for joining. And thank you for just everything you're doing to leave the world a little bit better than you found it. I think a lot better. I just wish you the most continued success as you work to change lives for a better world.
And we are so honored to be making a donation in your honor. And as a thank you for your time today to Safe Horizon, which is the largest victim service organization in the country. Every year, over 250,000 people seek safety through their services. So thank you for choosing that organization to support.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you.
The Leading Difference is brought to you by Valentium Medical. Valentium Medical is a full-service CDMO serving MedTech clients worldwide to securely design, manufacture, and test Class 2 and Class 3 medical devices. Valentium Medical's 4 units include research and development, pairing electronic and mechanical design, embedded firmware, mobile app development, and cloud systems, with the human factor studies and systems engineering necessary to streamline medical device regulatory approval. Contract manufacturing, building medical products at the prototype, clinical, and commercial levels in the U.S. as well as in low-cost regions in 1345 certified and FDA-registered Class 7 clean rooms. Cybersecurity, generating the 12 cybersecurity design artifacts required for FDA submission. And automated test systems, assuring that every device produced is exactly the same as the device that was approved. Visit valentiummedical.com to explore how we can work together to change lives for a better world.